let me find it on the dial. Well, there we go. This is it. Get ready. We're going to start the show. Well, hey there, everybody. This is your boy, the Wizard. And I'm here to welcome you to this, the 62nd episode of the Grow with Grubby Cup Show. On this week's episode, we're getting a visit from Johnny from the My CO2 Bags. And now it's time to listen to a little bit of the wonderful and delightful Kelly Erickson, currently playing with Teaser.
We got some seeds to grow, he'll keep you in the know, variety to claim, so baby, what's his name? He's the man to know, he'll make your garden grow. Grubby Cup's his name, he's the man who'll make a change.
Hello there, gentle listeners. This is your roving bard, Leaf Malone, reporting on the Grow with Grubby Cup show, brought to you by DFZ Radio at dfzradio.com. And here they are, the buds of the circle table.
Oh, see, it is I, Sancho Banza.
Good evening. I'm Alfred the Dungeon Keeper. Hi there, friends. This is the Irreverent Joe. And I'm Herb the Wizard. Psst, it's me, Vinny the Viper, the Sheriff of Riding Puck. And I am your host, the Green Knight, Grubby Cup Stash. Thank you for joining us here on the Grow with Grubby Cup show. Brought to you by the good folks over at DFZ Radio at dfzradio.com. And first up, upcoming gardening events by grubbycup.com and GrowTag. On 4/17 in New York, Mike's Nursery will be having Customer Appreciation Day. On 4/18 in Florida, Urban Roots Garden Supply will be having a Customer Appreciation Day. On 6/19 in Michigan, Upper Peninsula Garden Center is having a party, and I'll give a little bit more about that right after the other announcements. On 6/20 in Maine, Urban Garden Center Brewer is having a Customer Appreciation Day, and on 7/26 in California at the Los Angeles Convention Center will be the Maxim Yield Indoor Garden Center. Stay tuned weekly, and I'll let you know the next 5 or so events that I know of. And here's just for a little bit more info on the UPGC party in Michigan on 6/19. Coming up in June, I'll be spending a week in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. I'm really excited because I've never been up there before. And Mike over at Upper Peninsula Garden Center is having an event that I will be emceeing for and attending. So if you're going to be in the area, stay tuned for more details. Once again, if you are in the area, stop off at the Upper Peninsula Garden Center. Tell them Grubby Cup said hi. If you're a hydro shop, or if you know of a hydro shop that's having a Customer Appreciation Day, party, whatever you want to call it, please let me know at grubbycup.com and I'll put them on the list so they can be announced both on the Grow with Grubby Cup show and on the front page at grubbycup.com.
Hello there, Mr. and Mrs. Generator and all the ships at sea. Now it's time for... Dear Grubby Cup is a portion of our program where we take questions from you, the general listeners, and read them here on air. Please keep in mind that that plant that shall not be named shall continue not to be named, so please don't include it in your letters. Oh, Grubby, Grubby Cup, Grubby, hey, Grubby.
What is it, Herb?
Oh, hey, Grubby, I have a letter for you.
Okay, Herb, go ahead and read the letter.
I don't know how many times I gotta tell you, man. It's Herb the Wizard. Oh, wait, you said it right.
Yeah, I just gave up on that bit.
Well, all right, Grubby. Anyway, the letter, it says, Dear Grubby, how's the lamp working coming along? And it's signed, Gene, the dog Prettier Fire. Is Prettier Fire a word? I don't think Prettier Fire is a word.
No, Prettier Fire is not a word.
Well, then, she's a dog groomer. Oh, she makes dogs pretty.
That's cool. What's the letter say, Herb?
Oh, we already read the letter, Grubby. I think you took a little bit too long in the safety meeting there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyway, it's coming along. It's still very much, they're pretty homemade, shabby chic looking. But I've been playing around with putting dot stacks on the ugly Christmas ornaments and playing around with doing dot boxes, those kinds of things. And it's being fun. It gives kind of a cool, almost stained glass looking effect to it. And I'm really having a good time.
Whoa, that's cool, Grubby. Hope that answers your letter there, lady. It's a guy, the sheriff of Rotting Park. Oh, gee whiz, Grubby, it's the sheriff.
Hey, Sheriff, what do you want this time?
It's a guy.
You already said that, Sheriff.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you, stop, in the name of the king.
Well, we're not doing anything, Sheriff.
Shush! I'm here to tell you that you will no longer be able to buy tomatoes from the Red Kingdom because you are green.
Well, I'm the Green Knight. This is the Green Knight's land. Why won't you sell us tomatoes anymore?
Because by recent order of the king, we don't like you.
Well, that's your prerogative, I guess.
In addition, just so you know, all citizens of the Red Kingdom who listen to your show are not allowed to buy tomatoes either.
Oh, wait, that doesn't sound very fair. I mean, I get if you've got a reason and you don't like me personally or what have you, but what does that have to do with anything? I mean, they're citizens and they should get to, do what they want with their free time. If they want to waste part of their lives listening to this show, then, I don't understand why that should mean that you don't sell them tomatoes.
Because that's the way it is.
I don't think that's very cool of you, man.
Now I'm off to spread misery everywhere.
Hey, Herb.
Oh, gee, Grubby, that wasn't very nice of him. I mean, I don't understand it if he doesn't like us very much, but that's not very nice to being his own people just 'cause they listen to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. That doesn't mean that they don't get any tomatoes. That might mean that they need to get a life, but it doesn't mean that they shouldn't be able to buy tomatoes at the store.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Alfred. Good evening. In your garden starts, how about if this year you start a few more tomatoes? I got a feeling they may come in handy for us to have some extra tomatoes around here. Very good, sir. I shall see what I can do in the dungeon.
Well, gee, Grubby, he can do lots of stuff in that dungeon of his, but he's pretty good at doing that little indoor grow ever since he painted the walls white instead of black.
I tell you, other people's children. Now for a few words from our sponsors. The Grow with Grubby Cup show is brought to you in part by The Grow with Grubby Cup show is brought to you in part by, or maybe they're just curious, Upper Peninsula Garden Center. If you are in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, please consider stopping by the Upper Peninsula Garden Center Hydro Shop. And if you do, make sure to tell them Grubby Cup sent you and ask for Mike. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
We're listening to DFZRadio.com.
Hi, and welcome to Non-Specific Hydro.
Yeah, hey, I have a buddy of mine that was telling me about a great additive.
Okay, do you remember the name?
Yeah, his name's Steve. He's a good buddy.
No, the product.
No, he told me it was a super concentrated organic enhancer. Comes in a yellow bottle.
Well, it sounds like he's talking about Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics.
I don't think that was the name, but he also told me it was a vegan bioplant stimulator that contained vitamins, plant sugars, amino acids, seaweed extract.
Yeah, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
I don't think that's it, man. He told me it was something like Dora Vicious Flush or something, and he said it was like an organic supplement that could also be used in vegging or flowering, and that was compatible with hydro soil and cocoa.
Yes, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
Oh, hey, man, I just remembered what it's called. It's Floralicious Plus.
Oh, good. I was drawing a blank.
Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics. Ask for it by name.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to DFZRadio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on the DFZ Radio Network at dfzradio.com. Hello, gentle listeners and all the ships at sea. This is your wandering bard, Leaf Malone. And now it's time for
Buds of the Circle Table.
Welcome to this week's edition of the Buds of the Circle Table. With me this week is Donnie from My CO2. And I'm here with Donnie from My CO2.
Oh, we're going right now? Oh.
Yeah, that's cool, man. I'm here with Donnie of My CO2, and what is cool about the My CO2 bags?
Well, I think the coolest thing about the My CO2 bags is that they fruit mushrooms after you're all done getting CO2 for your plants. It's a great way for people who are, into organics, into sustainability to, get CO2 for their indoor plants or maybe even their greenhouse plants, and afterwards fruit mushrooms that they can eat or use medicinally, referring specifically to the grow variety of our product, which has reishi mushroom mycelium.
Okay, so first of all, why do we want CO2 to add additional CO2 to a garden?
Well, photosynthesis is the process in which plants, derive energy from the sun, and when they do that, they're breathing in carbon dioxide and turning it into plant parts, sugars, and then putting it back out into the environment as oxygen. So, like all plants, for the most part, and trees and things like that, that's why they clean up the air. The whole idea of having like house plants is to clean up the air. Human beings breathe in oxygen and exhale carbon dioxide. Well, mushroom mycelium works very much in the same way, is that it breathes in oxygen, turns it into carbon dioxide, and then exhales it out. Whereas they also make it through enzymatical processes where they excrete enzymes and other acids that break down the carbon in the substrate and turn it into CO2 gas, which also the plants take up, and they basically make a plant grow bigger, stronger, faster, harder if compared to a plant that's starved for CO2.
So in the CO2 bag, the fungus in the bag generates CO2, which allows your plants to take that up.
Correct. Yeah. So the way that it works is that mushroom mycelium makes carbon dioxide over the course of decomposition, and this can be visualized on like a bell curve, to where day one of growth there's not that much growth going on, so there's not that much CO2 going on. Week two there's a whole lot more growth in the first day, and then you've got like more CO2, and then a good 3 weeks into the growth between there and like say 60 days later, it's definitely a bell curve of CO2 where you're getting a lot of off-gassing.
And you said that the My CO2 bags are customer activated. What is that, and how is that different?
Well, customer activation is basically the term that describes the ability for any person to go into a retail garden shop, pick up our product, open it up, and then mix the live culture with the substrate. So they're effectively turning it on. At a mushroom farm, we would call this process inoculation, and that typically happens in a sterile laboratory in front of a laminar flow hood, which a HEPA flow hood that basically scrubs all of the air of its particulates, spores, bacteria, anything that might be present in the air, and basically that's how they're able to inoculate it. Well, we figured out and patented the way to separate the live culture from the sterile substrate, all within the same vessel.
Well, very cool. And you've got two versions. You've got the grow and the bloom. And what's different about the two?
So the difference between the grow and the bloom is the bloom uses oyster mushroom mycelium, and oyster mushrooms are an incredibly aggressive, variety of mushrooms that they will colonize a substrate a lot faster than, say, our grow variety, which uses reishi mushrooms, which colonize at a much slower pace. And since the speed of decomposition is closely related to the off-gassing of carbon dioxide, we chose to, use the oyster mushroom culture as the bloom and the reishi one as the grow, because, when plants are in bloom, they're a lot larger than usually the plants that are in veg, and thus need more CO2 because they're, a bigger living plant.
Well, cool. And you said that the oyster mushrooms that you can get them to fruit after that they've processed the growth media that they're initially come with?
Absolutely. So the bag itself, the product itself, is a standard mushroom block, is what we'd call it in the industry. And so once it's fully colonized, which is a fancy way of saying once the loose brown medium has turned into a white solid block of mycelium, of fungus, then all you need, then basically the bag itself becomes like a transparent bark. And what you need to do is penetrate, like make a small penetration on on one of the larger sides of the block, and then push out all the extra air in the bag tape the loose section back opposite the side of the hole. And what you're doing there is you're giving the fungus only one spot on the entire block that is, open for them to be exposed to ambient air conditions, ambient humidity, and also, a light cycle. And so what you do is you just do, like I just said, put it back in the box, spritz that area with like a hand sprayer, or put it by maybe like a humidifier, or if you are, savvy enough, make a humidity or like a fruiting chamber for mushrooms. And if you just put it in there and the temperatures are right, between 55 and 70 degrees, and you give it a 12-12 or more light cycle, one incandescent bulb is enough, and it doesn't need to be close to the bag either. Just enough light for you to read in. The mushrooms will fruit specific to that location, and it makes for harvesting being a snap. If you make the hole only like maybe a 1/4 inch hole, harvesting is just literally just pulling the mushroom bouquet from the block in a kind of like a twist and pull fashion.
And again, that's with the bloom, which comes with the oyster mushrooms.
Correct.
What can you tell us about the reishi mushrooms?
The reishi mushrooms, they're a little bit trickier to grow. They are kind of a finicky one to fruit the mushrooms from. Probably the easiest way for someone to grow the mushrooms is to maybe bury the block halfway and put it in a somewhat shady area of the garden where the sprinklers come on, and let them fruit naturally in the outside environment. Trying to get them to fruit in a controlled environment is a bit tricky. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not very talented hands out there that couldn't accomplish.
But the oyster
that.
mushrooms are the easier of the two.
Oh yeah, oyster mushrooms. I mean, like I've fruited oyster mushrooms without any human. I basically poked a hole and left it be, and then forgot about it. And then one day I walked by and, hey, look at that! There's oyster mushrooms there. They're kind of the gangsters of mushrooms. They get it done.
Oh, so the bloom is the easier of the two boxes to do that with then.
Correct. Especially if anybody's after growing the mushrooms, they're definitely going to want to go with the bloom, especially if they've never tried their hand at such a thing. It'll be a lot easier and a lot more fulfilling of an experience for them. And then once they kind of get the hang of it, they should research the reishi strain and research its specific requirements, and then try to use it per those requirements.
And how long does each box last, and about how big of an area does it cover?
Each box is designed for a 4x4 area, or a 4x4 grow tent, or say one box per hood. It's best not to put them on top of the hood, because the hoods generate heat and will actually cook the mycelium and make it into a much more unhospitable environment for them to grow. We've designed the box to also be a hanger, so you want to hang it as high as you can in your garden, so that way the CO2 is dispersed evenly throughout the garden. But you basically, any 4x4 area, one is a bare minimum. The more my CO2 generators that you put in a specific area, the more CO2 you're going to get in that area, obviously. And by spreading them out, not having them all right next to each other, you're kind of more evenly distributing the CO2 flow, across your garden.
And about how long will I get out of a box of the grow?
Okay, so the grow can last up to 180 days, and then the bloom can last up to 60 days.
Okay, so and if I didn't have a veg cycle that long, I could just leave the grow box in there when I added the bloom box later. Is that correct?
Yeah, and honestly, the bloom box and the grow box, is the culture is the only thing that really makes the difference, is the speed of decomposition. And if you have larger plants, or if the bloom box is all that's available at your garden store, it will work just as well as the grow box. It's just some customers are very accustomed to buying products on the market that last for 180 days or 6 months, and so we wanted to make a product that's there for them, that's also customer activated. Whereas the bloom or the oyster mushroom, no one had a faster, aggressive decomposition mushroom culture out there that was also customer activated. So we wanted to have something that's basically for everybody.
Well, that's cool, and thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. Is there anything else you want to say while you got the chance?
All mushrooms are shrooms, and all mushrooms are magical. So if anybody ever asks you, oh man, do these things grow magic mushrooms? That's what you tell them. Say all mushrooms are magical, because what they do is they turn, any kind of decay or any kind of dead, organic matter eventually into soil, one way, shape, or form, or into like a much more usable medium for nature. So they're the biomolecular decomposers of nature. I'm sorry, I'm kind of stumbling on my words there.
Thanks. And this has been Donnie with My CO2.
Cut that last part out.
Thanks. We'll talk at you later.
Yeah.
This program is brought to you in part by Upper Peninsula Garden Center. If you are in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, please consider stopping by the Upper Peninsula Garden Center and tell Mike that Grubby sent you.
You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show on DFZ Radio at dfzradio.com.
We're listening to DFZRadio.com.
Hi, and welcome to Non-Specific Hydro.
Yeah, hey, I have a buddy of mine that was telling me about a great additive.
Okay, do you remember the name?
Yeah, his name's Steve. He's a good buddy.
No, the product.
No, he told me it was a super concentrated organic enhancer. Comes in a yellow bottle.
Well, it sounds like he's talking about Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics.
I don't think that was the name, but he also told me it was a vegan bioplant stimulator that contained vitamins, plant sugars, amino acids, seaweed extract.
Yeah, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
I don't think that's it, man. He told me it was something like Dora Vicious Flush or something, and he said it was like an organic supplement that could also be used in vegging or flowering, and that it was compatible with hydro soil and cocoa.
Yes, that would be General Hydroponics Floralicious Plus.
Oh, hey, man, I just remembered what it's called. It's Floralicious Plus.
Oh, good. I was drawing a blank.
Floralicious Plus from General Hydroponics. Ask for it by name.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash, and you're listening to us on dfzradio.com. Just a random gentle reminder that the spring equinox is past, and so in a month or so, there's several vegetables that should be hitting the garden, so you may want to be getting ready for that.
Now, friends, this is the Irreverend Job, and I would just like to speak to you for a moment about what's fair. If you are going to start persecuting people, if you're going to start denying people that you don't know, then you've got a problem. Now, friends, I know that there are people in this world that you don't like. I know there are people out there that are assholes. What I'm suggesting to you is that the best course of action is to find out whether or not a member of a particular group is an asshole before you start claiming they're an asshole. If you don't know them, then you don't know whether or not they're an asshole. So, friends, what I'm suggesting to you is that if there's somebody that you think you might not like, either because they live in the wrong kingdom or because they've got the wrong color hair, that to be fair about things, you find out for yourself whether or not that person is an asshole. Now, the reason I suggest you do this is simple logic. There is not a group of people beyond a certain size that does not have a few assholes in it. It's an unfortunate state of events, but the truth is, if you get enough people together, an asshole or two are gonna sneak in. Now, the problem is if you only judge people in a group by their most asshole members, then pretty much every group you could put together is going to have a world-class asshole or two to enter into that competition. Now, friends, the issue I have with this is then people start judging people by whose people got the biggest assholes. Now, friends, I'm telling you, I don't understand why in this world, but for some reason in this world, being an asshole gets you a lot more press than being a nice fella. Now, friends, what I'm suggesting to you is just like you get enough people together, you're going to have a few assholes in the group. By and large, every group has got a nice fella or two, or a nice gal or two, that could enrich your life by getting to know. Now, friends, the problem is that you got to get by the assholes to get to the nice people, because the nice people are generally doing nice people stuff and not bothering anybody, and assholes by definition like to bother people, so they tend to be the loud ones in front. Now, friends, what I would like to suggest to you is that if you are of the mentality that, well, I don't have a chance to get to know everybody in the group, so it's easier for me to just lump in everybody of that particular group as an asshole, because I know there's a couple assholes over there. And I don't have time or the inclination or whatever to get to know each and every one of them to find out if each and every one of them is an asshole or if I'm just unlucky. Well, friends, what I suggest to you is that you take that laziness, you take that desire not to know personally, and you make things a little easier on yourself. So instead of persecuting somebody because they're part of some group or some this or some that, or they wear the wrong color shoes, or they're too tall, or they're too short, or they're too fat, that instead of keeping all of those different categories for your unwelcome feelings, that you lump them up, and you put them where they belong. You start grouping people as the people who are assholes and people who aren't. That's an easy category to make. You only need 2 boxes for that. You come up with a person and you say, hey there, person. And if they say, kiss my ass, then you go, okay, you go in the asshole bucket, and I know that that's what you are, and have a nice day someplace else. Now, friends, the reason I'm trying to bring this up to you and the reason I'm trying to hammer this home is that I don't think it is fair to pick on somebody because of the accident of their birth. None of us got to pick and choose unless you're part of some religions, in which case you fill out a form or something. I'm not quite sure how that works. Those ways are not my ways. But you're born whatever you're born to. And friends, there's nothing you can do about that. Your parents or whoever your parents were. You do have a choice whether or not you're an asshole. So if you wanna be a bit on the judgmental side, then make some sort of judgment that makes sense. If you have to, because you cannot find love in your heart, if you have to have a little bit of ill feelings towards somebody, then wouldn't it make a lot more sense to put that feelings toward the assholes that are putting that feelings there in the first place, and not just picking random people because they happen to listen to the Grow with Grubby Cup show, or because they walk on a particular side of the street, or what have you. This has been a serum from the Irreverend Job.
Thank you, as always, for the serum, Irreverend Job.
Oh, gee, Grubby. Oh, no, man. It's supposed to be a garden show, and you... Irreverend shows up on a pretty regular basis, but he's a pretty cool guy, so I guess that's okay. I want to have some magical potion, please, because I have some pineapple upside down cake. You know, it's really, really yummy, and you know what goes really good with pineapple upside down cake is some magical potion, because magical potion goes pretty good with pretty much anything, actually. You know, I really, it's kind of like baking. It's hard to imagine situations where your bit of magical potion doesn't just make things just a little bit better. Well, gee whiz, Grubby, and I gotta say, it's almost time for traveling season again, so I'm pretty excited about that, because I like to go to strange places and meet strange people, because that's how you get to find things that you haven't seen before. And so, where are we going this year, Grubby?
Well, as I've already said a couple of times, I'm going to Michigan. I'm going to try to make it out to Rhode Island in that this summer. If you have a hydro shop, or if you have an event or what have you, and you'd like to be on the 2015 tour, get a hold of me and let's see what we can do as far as getting you on the list and making that happen.
Well, that's cool, Grubby. And one thing that's a nifty bonus is that if you get Grubby Cup to come to your place, you get the rest of the Budget Circle table for free. Because you get Alfred, and you get me, I'm up the wizard, and you get the whole gang.
Well, yeah, that's true. It's kind of hard to leave you guys at home, although I have to admit, I've tried a couple of times.
The Grow with Grubby Cup show is brought to you by
support from the Heavy Tea Show. The Heavy Tea guys have been very supportive and very cool. They help bring you the Grow with Grubby Cup show, so I want to give a shout out. And besides that, they're supposed to have a check in the mail for me. So need the booger shells, giving a shout out to the Heavy Tea Show.
The Grow with Grubby Cup show is also brought to you by
Dihydrogen oxide. Plants can't live without it.
The Grow with Grubby Cup show is also brought to you by the letter J, because it's my favorite letter in the whole alphabet. I even like it better than Q or W or lots of those letters. I like the letter J.
Also brought to you by
Grow with Us Hydroponics. If you're in the Rhode Island, Warwick area and you need some hydroponic supplies, stop on by at Grow With Us Hydroponics. Tell them Grubby sent you. Speaking of the Rhode Island, New England area, if you happen to be in the Rhode Island, New England area, stop off at Grow With Us Hydroponics, Home and Hydro, or Three Guys Hydroponics, all of which are very fine stores in the Rhode Island area, all of which are carrying Grubby Cups potting mix. If you are in New York, make sure to stop off at Harvest Moon Hydroponics in Buffalo and in Rochester. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on dfzradio.com.
Botanicare is proud to introduce a revolutionary three-part nutrient system that is the culmination of over 15 years of research and development. The Kind Plant Nutrient System. Designed by leading plant physiologists, this is the most versatile, effective, yet easy-to-use plant nutrient system ever created. It all starts with Kind Base. Kind Base contains nitrogen and calcium, but no trace minerals, magnesium, or sulfur. By placing those nutrients in the Grow and Bloom formulas, you have greater control over how your plants grow in your medium of choice. Using coco coir or RO water, just add more base to increase calcium levels. Growing in clay pebbles or rock wool, then just reduce the amount of base to ensure the proper calcium level. It's that easy. Kind Grow contains trace minerals and a proprietary blend of all natural ingredients to help maximize root growth, reduce internodal spacing, and create a lush canopy. Kind Bloom was formulated with the optimum phosphorus to potassium ratio. Your plants will have healthy branch and stalk development, accelerated flower set, and increased yields. Kind Bloom also contains magnesium to help improve photosynthetic efficiency, which is critical in accelerated growth environments. To put it more simply, Botanicare's Kind nutrient system is the only nutrient system that is fully customizable to your kind of plants and medium. Botanicare Kind Base, Grow, and Bloom. Fully customizable. Any plant, any medium. For more information, go to botanicare.com. Botanicare Kind. Make it your kind.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to the Grow with Grubby Cup show. I'm your host, Grubby Cup Stash. You're listening to us on the DFZ Radio Network at dfzradio.com.
Hello, gentle listeners and all the ships at sea. This is your wandering bard, Leaf Malone. And now it's time for... Meals and Munchies.
Well, gee whiz, your Grubby Cup, I'm feeling kind of hungry. So what are we making today?
Well, today we're going to talk about one of my favorites, a simple onion soup.
Well, gee, Grubby, that sounds good.
Okay, to make it, we're going to need a quarter stick of butter, a bag of onions, and a few cups of either beef or vegetable stock.
All right, Grubby, well, I already saw in my crystal ball that we were going to do this today, so I already have all this stuff right handy as right here.
Okay, well, the first thing I'm going to do is take a good-sized pot and melt the butter in it.
Well, I good at melting butter, Grubby, because I got Smokey the Dragon here. We just put it in the butter, and then we'll put it on Smokey, And then you give Smokey just a couple tummy squishes. Just a couple. Squish, squish, squish. Okay, butter's melted.
Yeah, okay. Then you're going to take all the onions and take all the skin off of them and chop them all up into wedges. Just cut up all the onions. Throw out the root part, throw out the skin on the outside, chop up the onions, toss them in the pot with the butter, and you want to cook that over a low heat for about an hour, because you want that butter to interact with the onions, and you just want to keep that covered for about an hour on a low heat, and that'll get our process started.
All right, Grubby. So we chop up all the onions, and we be very careful not to cut our fingers.
That's right, Herb. Be very careful not to cut your fingers. And the easiest way not to cut your fingers is never get your fingers, your tummy, any of your hide between the sharp part of the knife and the cutting board. As long as you keep yourself out from that plane of the sharp implement and something to cut against, then you should be fine. You can touch the side, the back of the blade, whatever, but keep your fingers out from under the bottom of the blade. That's why you never cut against your thumb.
All right, Grubby. Oh, that sounds good, because I don't like it when we have to accidentally go to the hospital. That kind of sucks.
That's right, Herb. And you chop up the onions. You're going to throw it in the pot with a quarter stick of butter and cover that unheated, or cover that under, and put it under a low heat for about an hour. At the end of it, you should have a lot of liquid in with the onions in that. And at that point, you're going to take the lid off of it, and you're going to raise the temperature to a medium heat or so, and you're going to cook that liquid off. And what it'll do is it'll start to make this kind of gooey, gloppy, what's called a frond on the bottom, and that will start to turn golden. And as it starts to turn golden, what you're going to do is you're going to add another about 3/4 of a cup to a half a cup, depending on how big of a batch you're making, of water into it, and you're going to let that cook off. And you're going to go through that process of adding a little water and cooking it off a good 2-3 times. And what this is going to do is this is going to take all that onion flavor out of the onion, and it's going to bring up the sweet, the lily aspect of the onion. And that's going to really improve the flavor. One thing that I like about this recipe, as opposed to a lot of what you get in restaurants and that, is a lot of times when you get French onion soup out, it really is just an excuse to eat the croutons and the cheese on top. And making it this way, the way that we're doing it today, really makes it where the onion soup itself is worth eating just on its own. And you're going to use it to add to other dishes. So anyway, after you've cooked that down 2-3 times, you've added water, cooked it down, added water, cooked it down, etc. What you're going to do is you're going to scoop it into whatever your serving containers are going to be, and then you put croutons on top, either store-bought or homemade. I prefer homemade. And then cover that with a little bit of cheese and just pop that under the broiler until the cheese is melted on top, and serve hot. It's a peasant dish. It's very easy. It's reasonably cheap. And it's a way to use up a lot of onions. And it tastes good. It's an enjoyable food.
Well, gee whizzard there, Grubby. I think that sounds like an excellent idea, and it sure smells good, and... Ooh, it doesn't taste oniony at all. It's sweet, and it's kind of hard to describe, but you couldn't tell that it's onions if you didn't know it was onions almost. There's no onion flavor to it at all.
That's right, Herb. I've had people that don't like the traditional onion flavor that still really like this soup. So give it a try.
Well, gee whiz, thanks, Grubby. It's yum-scooty-yumptious.
Psst. You. Yeah, you. You listening to the radio there. It's me, Vinny the Viper. And I don't know about you, but personally, I could use a little extra breathing exercise after all that bit. All right. Just take a moment. In with the good air. And out with the bad air. All right, just do that one more time. I'm not sure I got enough good air there. All right, in with the good air. And, oh, yeah, out with the bad air. All right, now we go back inside, and we'll just kind of relax. Yeah, it's cool, man, it's cool. I'm cool, you're cool, it's all cool. Yeah, baby.
Thank you for tuning in. That's about all the time we have for this week. If it wasn't for the support of general listeners, I wouldn't be on the air. So I want to thank each and every one of you. Until next week, this has been your host, Grubby Cup Stash, and you've been listening to us on the DFZ Radio Network at dfzradio.com. Until next time, peace, love, and puka shells.
You got some seeds to grow, he'll keep you in the know. Variety to claim, so baby, what's his name? He's the man to know. He'll make your garden grow. Grubby Cup's his name. He's the man who'll make a change.
Wow, Joe, listeners, you listen to the whole show, and you even listen to a very young theme song and everything. You should be very proud of yourself and give yourself a pat on the back. I'd give you a pat on the back, but my arms aren't long enough, so, oh, wait, you know what I could do? I could tell you about Super Secret Orbital Wizard Contest. It's a super secret Orbital Wizard Contest, so people don't know about it, so it makes your chances better for winning. Certain people who get the Christmas tree ornament from Grubby Club get an extra special pack, and you get extra special stuff in it too. So if you're one of the people that are getting a good Christmas tree ornament early, because Christmas is months away, you have opportunity, and maybe you could win some extra stuff in with your ugly Christmas tree ornament. So there you go. Then until next week, this is your buddy Orb the Wizard saying bye bye.
Your garden's looking far out. You must listen to dfzradio.com.